Hello friends, today we are going to be using a vintage reproduction Vogue pattern 8728 in order to make this dress. This is a Vogue reproduction vintage pattern, and I have heard very good things about how Vogue did their vintage reproduction patterns, so I was excited to try this one. I found it for sale secondhand on Poshmark. The seller didn't have a lot of information, so I was very happy to find that the pattern wasn't actually cut out, mostly. This is a little bit of a stash busting because I used fabric from my own stash. This said that I would need 2 3/4 of a yard or 2 7/8. So I went to my stash and found this lovely like black and white with a very bold print fabric that, you know, bold prints, 40s were all about their novelty prints, so it fits. This has actually been in my stash for a while because my lovely friend Demi gave it to me when she was clearing out her stash before moving to Portland. This said it was less than 3 yards when I measured it because when I get remnant fabrics and fabric stashes and whatnot, I measure it and put a little sticky note on it saying how much it was. This was less than 3 yards. It says 8.5 feet, less than 3 yards. So I thought that that would be pretty darn good, and I might have a little bit of wiggle room for some error. Okay, so I just ironed out my fabric and laid down my pattern to put down the pattern pieces. And apparently whoever I bought this from left me some little notes like they are skipping the shoulder pads. I'm not. This says that's size 12 with a V1 knit. That was way too big and they need to size down, so hopefully I'm not going to have that issue. I am going to be very bold and try with the size 8 first, which estimates at a 24-inch waist, but they also left me the note to remember a pocket piece because this design does not actually come with a pocket piece. So body measurements for the size 6, it says for that should be a 24-inch waist, and that I should realistically be more of a 25-inch waist, but that's more my best measurements, so we're gonna see. The first thing I did, I wanted to lay the pattern pieces out on my fabric to cut out my fabric, which was a little challenging. I was trying to not cut up the pattern, and I settled on cutting the pattern pieces away from each other, but not cutting them out because I was not 100% sure what size I actually was. According to this, I am a size 10, and usually I am the smallest size, which in this case would be a size 8 with a 31.5-inch bust and a 24-inch waist. I think my waist is 25 though, so I went ahead and cut out the size 10, which is the second smallest size. Okay, so I have heard very good things about Vogue patterns, so I was excited to try this one out, but so far I'm still getting into the muddy water of modern pattern territory, where instead of saying, okay, here's your shit, go for it, like vintage patterns, this one is kind of giving a lot. Like this says extension. I don't know what it's extending. I have no idea. Also, this has a fold in the center front, but it's a whole piece that designates part of it as a fold instead of just saying cut on the fold, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Obviously I flipped my fabric inside out so it's right sides together, and the slightly desaturated back sides are out so that the markings become a little bit clearer, but this is a little bit weird so far. I had it in my head that I wanted to follow the directions of this pattern, so obviously step 1, you have to lay your pattern pieces down and cut it out. I followed the layout instructions that it had, and this is my leftover fabric, and I have just a really awkwardly long, I did not even use these big sections of fabric, and I think, is Vogue just an American company? Because this is a reproduction of a 1946 pattern, so I don't know what's going on here. Did they accidentally put the layout for like the 30-something inch wide fabric onto the 45? Because I just have excess, and I don't get it. It's so much excess. All right, so we did finally get everything cut out, and we are already deviating from the directions. The directions included a neck facing, which is cut on the bias, and this, which we were supposed to cut stabilizer out of, stitch the stabilizer onto the collar, and then remove the stabilizer, so it wasn't like an iron-in interfacing or anything like that. I think that all I need to do for that step is actually just to stitch the collar though. I did not do the neck facing correctly, so I just made this honestly probably unnecessarily long piece of bias tape. This will definitely be more than enough for the neck. I might actually have enough to bias tape the arms too. I forgot how to figure out how to install a pocket, but I do have the pockets cut out, so that's going to be an adventure too on today's sewing journey. I constructed the bodice front. The directions said to gather the bottom of the top part and fold down the top of the bottom part and top stitch the bottom to the gathers on the top. I thought that was a little bit nonsensical and silly, so I gathered the bottom of the top and then just sewed it down, then flipped it upside down and top stitched what was already flipped. It also helps the gathers for the bottom stay flatter down against this. I think that I want to put a little bit of interfacing, just something, or a stabilizer, just something to stabilize the top bit, because it's just, I feel like it would look a lot better if it were had a little bit more structure to it. Whee! I have the bodice attached except for at the sides because we're going to need to zipper, that's the word for it. We're going to need to attach a zipper. So right now I'm going to try at least to iron down the bias facing. I think I might need to give the inside a little bit of a snip, you know, to get it to lay flat. It's a lot prettier when it's ironed down. Let me just pin you in place. Oh yeah, I also pinked the shoulders. I don't think that I pinked anything else though. What else do I need to do? When I get to, I'm gonna need to check the directions to see if I need to attach the skirt to the bodice next or what's going on there. You know, it's gonna be interesting, and I'm going to need to figure out how I'm going to install the pocket into the skirt. Another problem that I had about this pattern, it does not include pockets. I kind of had to freehand idea a pocket pattern and install those. I did opt to do the pockets that are hidden in the side. That was not my wisest decision. We have, the pocket is now attached to the skirt back. I have to attach it to the skirt front now. We have gone pretty much completely off script. But at least it looks like the pocket ends at approximately where the zipper is supposed to start. So that is an incidental marking for me. Well, I haven't gathered the skirt pieces together yet though, so gonna need to have to do that. So I have the bodice almost completely sewn together, only this is open because I'm going to have a really long stitch here to sew it up, then install the zipper, then just cut that stitch out. The pockets are installed. I did fudge that up a little bit. I sewed the pocket to the back of the dress instead of the front of the dress, but that's my inexperience with the pocket side zipper combination. I would also like to say that the bias tape around the collar definitely worked. I cut out 2-inch strips and made a single fold bias tape out of that. I probably should have done just 1-inch strips instead. I mean, realistically, from the outside, it's not that bad, but I was having trouble catching the bottom of the bias tape when I was top stitching, so I'm gonna have to go down and like just do the herringbone tacking stitches that you would normally do for a hem on this as well. What I would like to encourage you to learn from my mistake is it's difficult to install a zipper in a pocket like that's a little difficult, because then suddenly it's no longer a pocket and you have to deal with more seams from where the pocket meets the skirt, and suddenly shift debulk because it was at an angle, and that was an experience, and not one that I entirely thought through. And I would encourage you to maybe not do that. Maybe instead of having your pocket directly where the zipper should be, maybe move it a little bit forward. Maybe have the front pockets instead. I also have that handy dandy 4-inch wide quilting ruler, and so just marked 4 inches up on the entire hem, folded it up by a 1/2 inch, and then up to that 4-inch mark. So I have what's technically like 1 3/4 inch hem. All I needed to do next was put on the shoulder pads and make the belt, but I started getting a little in my feelings about this project. I'm not sure if I'm in love with this enough to put in the effort to do the matching belt, even though that's probably like an hour max.
Look at me. Look at your pants.
My deer pants? Deer pants?
That dress is your style. Put the belt on.
No, I don't think so, because like it has, like my bra straps are right here and the collar's out here, and like my waist is like a 1/2 inch below where this waistline is. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
And get the aesthetic of the belt.
Here is what I have, and here is what it expects me to have. That's like, I mean, I guess if you were like a B or a C cup, then that would make sense, but it's so much fluff. Oh, Penny needs attention, I'm sorry. Do you want to be in the dress? Is that why you're here? Because you're putting your little feet in my boobs. Get your little feet out of my boobs. What do you think? It is the next day. I did wear the dress to work, and I think that it was just kind of an instance of I needed to get over my own ego that, you know, it wasn't going 100% according to what I had envisioned. I went ahead and cut out a little strip of interfacing that is not the fusible interfacing, and the best way in my head to connect it was just to sew down a strip. So I'm just going to give everything a quick little iron out before I sew right sides together, this to this. Might take pictures of it tomorrow. I'm fine putting on this dress tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere. It just might be a little bit sunnier. Am I allowed to get up now? Because I would like to put the shoulder pads in this dress. If you allow me to get up, I can put on the audiobook. Is that a yes? Are you thinking about letting me get up so I can put on the audiobook? You want to find out what happened to the map maker, if he got kidnapped or murdered? No? Okay. There is the belt buckle. it has this little flappy bit, and if the belt was longer, I would feel comfortable tucking it into itself so it would overlap and then just fold into itself. Or if it was shorter, it wouldn't have that flappy bit. I would either make the belt slightly shorter or much longer in the future. Okay, well, now you see me in my underwear again, where I want to put this. I think that I'm just going to find the shoulder seam, which would be right here, the midway point of the shoulder pad, stick my needle up through it. Yeah, about where that is where I'll just stitch it in. And that's about where middle is there. So that means about there is where I should tack it down. At least in this garment, I'm trying to take the tacking stitches through some black because my thread is black, so I'm trying to mask it by making sure tack down in the black. Alright, that's one shoulder pad installed. One more to go. It was rainy and dreary outside, even though we still had daylight. So I waited until the next day, today, where it was bright and sunny to try to recreate a kind of combination of these two stylish ladies. Since I had a black material, I wanted to kind of go for what she was doing with the black gloves, but I do not have a flower crown or hat, so I did somewhat a copy of her hairstyle. So here's me doing that little bit of recreation in the blinding sun. I find it a very functional house dress, but once again, this boat neck, I had to wear my strapless undergarments so that you could not see the straps. They sit about right here on my shoulders, so they would be visible when I'm wearing this. To avoid needing to pull out the strapless undergarments, my more realistic way to style this would be the oversized sweater. If I were to make this pattern again, I want to really adjust the bodice top specifically. I would probably cut it to be the size 8 because I don't know if I was just stitching way too shallow. I'm a shallow stitcher, so that's probably it. Bodice bottom part I don't think is bad. I might want it a little bit more structured, but the bodice top I would want to take in a lot of ways. Final thoughts on this pattern. Don't hate it. Would probably really want to adjust that bodice top to make it again, and I'm not sure what I am going to be doing with all this. I feel like it's a lot of scrap. I'm trying to convince myself that I want to do like a grayscale black and white quilt with the rest. So, but what do you think about this pattern, my execution, and what I should do with all my scraps? And what do you have your opinions about World War II rationing in America versus Britain? Go ahead. That might be an interesting discussion. Leave that down below with any questions, comments, or concerns. New videos should be up on Fridays, but I'm not super consistent about that, so make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you know when I actually do post. Thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye!